Hey everyone, my name is Scott, and this is my first video on YouTube, which is a momentous occasion because I've been intending to do this for a long time and I've been making many excuses not to, but here we go. I wanted to start this channel to just share what I know about audio and recording and mixing and all that stuff, so yeah, here we go. I'm starting it. It's January, it's 2020, it's a new decade, and it's time to turn all the good intentions into something real. So we'll see how this goes. I wanted to start this channel off by just jumping right into a video series because I don't know what else to do. And I'm going to call this one Jumpstart Your Podcast because I hear a lot of podcasts, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and lots of not audio people are making them and releasing them. And I saw a need for some sort of instruction on, or some sort of guide on just how to make a better sounding podcast, make a higher quality product, if you will. So in this video, I'm going to teach you about some of the tools that you need in order to record your podcast and to make it sound as good as it can. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to mix it. And in the last video, I'll show you how to master it, to give it that final polish that it needs before it goes up onto the interwebs. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The tools you need. Well, I put these into two different categories. So you need something to record voices, and obviously you need a microphone. So the first category for recording, I would say, is recording devices that are external to your main computer that you're using to just upload the files. So you can use a cell phone. Cell phones nowadays are super high quality. The microphone sounds great. I had the iPhone 11 for a little bit. I actually downgraded to the 7 because the 11 was costing way too much. But I did record my wife's grandparents telling a story about their lives around Christmas time. I put the phone down right in between them, and it picked up their voices great. So phones nowadays, not just the iPhone, any new phone is going to have a good quality microphone in there. So that's a really viable option for recording. Another device you can use is just a digital, like a portable handheld digital recorder that saves the audio right to an SD card or a flash drive, whatever. That makes the audio easy to transfer. You could also use a digital mixer if you're at a church that has a digital mixer. You can easily record the sermon. That you can put that right to a flash drive. We do that at my church, did that at my old church. That works great. Those are some easy ways you can record your podcast that are not directly connected to your computer. The other category for recording is obviously straight into your computer. You can do that if you're using a laptop. You can use the internal microphone there. If you're using a desktop PC like I have, because I'm kind of old school, I've got a webcam right up there. You can record straight from the webcam. Use that as your microphone. You could get a USB microphone, which is a big step up in quality. You should get a large diaphragm condenser microphone if you are going to go that route, because large diaphragm condenser microphones are very sensitive and they just pick up a lot more detail in the voice. It sounds a little more natural. That's what I'm using here. So you can go that route. They're pretty affordable. You can find really cheap ones for $40, and they can get up into the multiple $100 range, but they'll sound good. And then the last method, which is the one I use and a lot of people use, is to use an audio interface. An audio interface is an interface between the analog world and the digital world. So I have a Rode NT1A right here, and I'm actually recording with an NT1, which is this one's brother. And then I'm going straight into an audio interface with an XLR cable. So my audio interface is the Scarlett 18i8. It's got 4 analog inputs that are either XLR or they can be an instrument cable, like a 1/4 inch. So I record lots of stuff, music-wise, straight into here. And then it just streams all the digitized audio which is kind of an oxymoron, but it's audio that has been converted to digital, and then it streams that into my computer through the USB port. Using an audio interface is the easiest and most affordable way to get the highest quality recording you can. If you really want to up your game, you can get a lot of outboard, just analog gear. You can get preamps or analog compressors, and you can really kind of own your sound a little bit, but that's getting into you're getting into the stratosphere of equipment, and it's really not worth it in my opinion, because what you should be using, and this is the last tool you need, is a piece of software called a DAW, which is an acronym for a digital audio workstation. Inside of a digital audio workstation, you can do all sorts of processing. You can do editing. You can literally split your audio up into different chunks, different clips, and you can delete things that you screw up, like I've had to do in this video a lot. And you can then process your audio. You can do EQ adjustments. You can use compression. You can do limiting for the mastering, which I'll show in the next videos. But it's just an extremely versatile tool that is necessary, in my opinion, to getting some high quality audio for your podcast. Those are all the tools you need. You need a microphone. It can be external to your computer. It can be recording straight into your computer. So those are the two recording buckets, the two recording categories. And then you need a DAW. You need something to mix it. And there are a lot of free DAWs available. There's Pro Tools First. There's Cubase LE. There's Reaper, there's Audacity, and probably a bunch of others that I don't even know about. It's easy to get your hands on something, or they're just like fairly affordable DAWs too. So if you've got a Mac, you can get Logic Pro X, which is, a fully featured DAW for just an additional $200, I'm pretty sure. A lot of these free DAWs, you'll be missing a lot of the other tools that they come with, but you'll have the bare essentials, EQ and compression. The free version of any one of those is going to get you plenty far. So now I want to talk about some common pitfalls that I hear in a lot of podcasts nowadays, and how you can use your DAW in your tools to avoid them. The first pitfall is poor level matching. This one is apparent in podcasts that have multiple speakers. Sometimes it's one microphone recording a bunch of people. Other times it is everyone has their own microphone, and the levels just aren't quite the same. So one guy is really easy to hear, or girl, the host, and then the guest is really hard to hear, or vice versa. Or sometimes people are calling in from Skype, and the Skype caller is ridiculously loud, and then the two hosts are really quiet. So if you're using a DAW, you can split everyone's track out into their individual tracks, and you can control what the level is, and you can mix it so that they're all the same level. The next pitfall I hear is there is no compression or limiting going on. So an example of this would be, so if you're listening to a podcast that has multiple people, same scenario, someone says something funny, or it's maybe a contentious debate or conversation, whatever. It's heated. People are talking. It's getting loud. I found myself, while listening in my car, having to reach for my volume knob a lot to turn the volume down. When there's just a sudden uproar of laughter, or someone shouts, or whatever, it can just blow my ears out. And the quick way to combat that is to use compression. A compressor compresses the dynamic range of the audio, so it reduces the difference between the loudest thing you hear and the quietest thing you hear. It's taking your waveform from this down to this, so it makes the quiet parts louder and it makes the loud parts quieter. So overall, it makes everything easier to hear. It makes everything more even, and it's great for just spoken word processing. You can go pretty heavy with compression too. It's not like you're using it on instruments or like a sung melody where you need to be a little more tasteful with it. You can be pretty aggressive with it when you're just doing spoken word stuff, and you'll be able to hear every word. So that's compression. And the third pitfall I hear is clipping. When you don't master your podcast, when you don't master your audio, it comes out really quiet. Part of mastering, the main part of mastering, is getting your audio up to the broadcast level, the broadcast volume. So when people don't do that, they wonder, well, why is my podcast so much quieter than everyone else's? What am I doing wrong? So they just take their audio interface or whatever they're using to record, and they just turn the input gain up so that the audio form is really loud. And what ends up happening is, if you don't have any processing, any compression, anything going on, you can easily start clipping, where just the input, the way your voice going into the microphone is too loud, and you're saturating the analog to digital converter inside of your audio interface, and you can hear that. It's called clipping. You'll see a little red light on your track, and it's audible. I've heard that in lots of podcasts too. Common pitfalls: poor level matching, no compression in general, where I've got to just, it requires the listener to be automatically adjusting their volume. Clipping, where people are trying to get their podcast louder, but they're not doing it right. So yeah, those are the three main pitfalls I hear. The way around them, obviously, is to level match, is to use compression, and instead of cranking your input gain up, you actually use a limiter, which is part of the mastering phase. So I will go over how to use EQ and compression in the next video, and how to use a limiter, and how to maybe do some other things to your audio in the mastering video, which will be video number 3 in this series. So that's it. That's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. If you think this was a good video, if you are interested in what I've got coming out on this channel, then please subscribe by all means. Share this. Go to my website and listen to my work. It's at scgstudios.com. I do lots of music mixing, and I do podcasts too. So yeah, just subscribe. Let's go on a ride here. That was weird. Anyway, first video. We'll get better at this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.